Welcome to the channel and welcome to Game 9 in my solo play campaign of Grimdark Future. I'm not using the AI rules, I'm just trying to play both sides as objectively as I can, just because it helps with the flow of the game. Spoiler alert, in the last game we saw the orcs retake the capital from the Soul Snatcher Cult. The Soul Snatcher Cult took heavy casualties, including the Patriarch, and the remnants have been forced to scatter into the surrounding areas. The forward observers of the HDF have reported this back to their High Command, and the High Command have issued the order that the Soul Snatcher Cult remnants must be engaged now before they can have time to regroup. Captain Myers and his forces have been dispatched and they have tracked down one of the remnants to this abandoned quarry. And here we have the forces under Captain Myers. Starting at the top left of the screen, we have got the battle tank, Rage. It's a battle tank armed with a battle cannon, twin heavy machine guns and a laser cannon. Next to them, we have got 3rd Support Squad, a weapons team of 3 mortars, and accompanying them is Lieutenant Ho, a company leader armed with an energy sword and a pistol, and he's got the forward observer take aim ability, so he can give the unit +1 to their shooting rolls. And if you've seen the campaign so far, you will know that boy do they need it. And then in the top right we've got Infernus, which is an attack vehicle armed with a flamethrower cannon and a heavy machine gun. Below Infernus we've got Hot Stuff, a special weapons team of 3 flamethrowers. We haven't seen them for a while. They've been taking a break because they got wounded in their previous game. They've now made a return to the HDF forces. Bottom right of the screen we've got 311 Squad. It's an infantry squad which was rules legal in terms of its configuration when I introduced it. It is now no longer rules legal, but when I introduced it I could build it like this, so I built it like this and I'm sticking with it. So it's an infantry squad, there's 11 models in there. One of the models is a heavy weapons team armed with an autocannon. We've got an NCO in there represented by a model with an energy sword and a pistol. There's a grenade launcher. There's a field radio, and there's also a model in there who is a medic, which gives the unit regeneration. In the centre at the bottom, we've got the man himself, Captain Myers, who is a company leader, again with the take aim ability. And he is accompanied by Myers Misfits, which is a veteran squad, equipped with a field radio, and one of them has a grenade launcher. They are now also elite Myers Misfits, which allows them 1 reroll per game. In the bottom left of the screen we've got Silent and Deadly, a sniper squad of 5, again no longer rules legal, but when I started the campaign you could have 5 snipers in a squad, so again I've simply kept it throughout the course of the campaign. They've had an experience upgrade as well, they are now headstrong, so they get +1 to morale tests. And then finally, between the snipers and the tank, we have got the Sushi, a unit of 10 conscripts, and they are accompanied by another company leader, Master Wylock, and he is a psychic. So those are the forces of the HDF under the command of Captain Myers. And here we have the forces of the Soul Snatcher Cult. Now, I must admit I made a bit of an error at the end of the last game of the Soul Snatcher Cult, when I was rolling for the injuries for the characters, the Patriarch and Archmage Karlov, because they are heroes, and heroes work slightly differently to regular units when they take casualties. But in the grand scheme of things it didn't really make any difference, because what you do is you roll, and on a roll of a 1 they are injured, so you then roll again to see what the injury is, rather than they simply miss D3 turns, because we're not playing permadeath in this campaign. However, for both those characters I rolled a 1 when I was working out how many games they were going to miss, and effectively that would have been their wound roll, the injury roll that they take, and a 1 is simply they are dead. So instead they're missing D3 games, so I'm just going to keep it as they're missing 1 game each. So the units we have available, starting on the top left of the screen, we have Grinder Truck Gamma 4. It's a grinder truck with a heavy machine gun and a heavy mining laser. To the right of the grinder truck we have got the Holy Ones, a unit of 5 Soul Snatchers. To their right we've got the Wolf, a minion quad bike armed with a heavy flamethrower. And next to the Wolf we have got the new unit, the Gifted Sons, a unit of 5 Acolytes. 2 have got demo chargers and 2 have got flamethrower pistols. To the extreme right of the screen we've got a unit of 5 neophytes called the Shadows, one of which has got a heavy machine gun. To their left we've got the Darklings, a unit of 5 mutant brutes, and one of them has got a pick hammer, the rest have heavy picks. Accompanying the Darklings is the Darkling Lord, a brute champion, and he is upgraded with a pet familiar which gives him the warning cry ability, which means nobody can ambush within 18 inches of him, which isn't going to be a major problem in this particular game, but it's worth mentioning. In the centre of the screen at the bottom we have got the Seekers, another unit of neophytes, one of which has got a quake cannon. To their left we have got the Blessed Sons, another unit of 5 acolytes. 2 have got flamethrower pistols and 2 have got heavy cutters. They are the only Soul Snatcher Cult's unit currently to have an experience upgrade. They are resilient, so they get +1 to their defense rolls. And then finally, the bottom left of the screen, we've got the Blessed Initiates, a unit of 5 neophytes, one of which has got a mining laser, and they normally accompany Archmage Karlov into battle, but he is missing this game. Now, there's more than 250 points worth of difference between the Soul Snatcher Cult's forces and the HDF. It's actually 295, so that's 5 full lots of 50 points, so they get 5 underdog bonuses for this game, represented by those 5 crystals in the bottom right of the screen. Each underdog bonus allows a dice roll, either their own or the enemy's, to be modified by +or -1, and you can't use multiple underdog bonuses per dice roll, you can only use 1 per dice roll. Now, someone's probably going to point out that you can't have more than 250 points worth of difference between the armies. I made that mistake earlier in the campaign, so for the sake of consistency I'm just going to carry on, i.e. I don't think it's right that the HDF have to reduce their forces just because they're doing slightly better than the Soul Snatcher Cult at this stage, because it's a narrative campaign, not a competitive campaign. So 295 points worth of difference still equates to 5 underdog bonuses. They get 5 underdog points for the Soul Snatcher Cult. Okay, we're set up, we're rolled for objectives, and we've got 3, so they're just in a simple line across the centre, with 1 in the exact centre. The Soul Snatcher Cults once again won the deployment roll-off, and once again all they could deploy was the truck. And I've put one of the units of acolytes in there, the one that's got 2 armed with demolition charges. And then we set up the HDF, so on the left flank we've got the flame tank, then we've got the mortars in some cover with Lieutenant Ho, we've got Hot Stuff accompanying Captain Myers in his misfits, then we've got 311 squad. Under this stone arch we've got Rage, the battle tank, and then on the right flank we've got Master Wylock and the Sushi, the conscripts. And then we roll for scouts, and the HDF won that roll off, so we had to deploy the snipers. They've deployed up on this rock where they can draw cover down onto these 2 objectives. For the Soul Snatchers, like I say, we've got the truck in the centre with the acolytes with the demolition charges inside it, and then up on this tower they've all got scouts so they can make their 12-inch additional move. We've got who are these? These are the Seekers. That's the unit of neophytes with the quake gun. And then down here we've got the Blessed Initiates, the units of neophytes with the mining laser. Towards the centre we've got the Wolf Quad and the other unit of acolytes. And then up here we've got the Shadows, the unit of neophytes that have got the machine gun and shotguns. Then we've got the mutant brutes with their brute champion, and then on the extreme right flank we've got the Soul Snatchers. So now we need to find out if both armies have got a special objective, or rather find out what the special objective is for both armies. Special objective for the HDF. 5. Rage. First player to destroy an enemy unit. They'll certainly want to do that. And then for the Soul Snatcher Cults. 2. Honour. No enemy units in own deployment zone at the end. Those are actually both quite thematic. Excellent. Let's go into the first turn. At the start of the first turn, is there going to be a random event on a 5+? No, there isn't. First activation for the Soul Snatcher Cults. The grinder truck has moved because it had a perfect line of sight from the tank through that hole over there. So it's moved into a bit of cover because it's definitely not designed to withstand the firepower of a tank, and the machine gun is going to fire in at Hot Stuff, the flamethrower squad down here. The mining laser is out of range, but 3 shots from the heavy machine gun will be hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits. Saving on 5s. Nope, that's 2 members of the squad die. And the remaining member of the squad will have to take a morale test on a 5+. They pass. The snipers are going to try and take a shot at the neophytes in that tower, and because they're in the tower, the neophytes will get the benefit of cover. So because they are snipers, they ordinarily hit on 2+, but the cover will make it a 3+. 5 shots. That's only 1 hit. No, 2 hits. 2 saves of 5+ needed. 1 makes it, 1 fails, so 1 of the neophytes will die. No morale test needed. Actually, that should have been a 6-up save because the sniper rifles were AP1, but the save that passed was a 6 anyway, so that's fine. The unit of neophytes at the top of the screen have moved out from their cover and under that bridge onto that objective. The riflemen are going to shoot at the conscripts, who will gain the benefit of cover because half the unit is obscured, and the mining laser is going to shoot at the battle tank, which again will get the benefit of cover because it's 50% obscured. 4 shots from the rifles into the conscripts will hit on 5s. They all miss. 1 shot from the mining laser will hit on a 5, which is also a miss. The mortars from 3rd support squad are going to fire up and over and down into the Soul Snatchers. Lieutenant Ho telling them to take aim, so these will hit on 4s, 3 shots. That's 2 hits. Now these are blast 3 each, so I think the Soul Snatcher Cults are going to spend an underdog bonus to turn one of those 4s into a 3, so it becomes a miss. Because there are more than 3 models in the target unit, so each of those hits will be turned into 3 hits. So that would have been 6 hits. This has halved it down to just 3 hits. 3 saves of 4+ needed. And that is 2 passes, and we'll spend another underdog bonus to turn that 3 into a 4, so it becomes all 3 saves. And the Brute Champion and the Mutant Brutes have rushed forwards. They are tailing back onto objective 3. I apologise if you can hear rumbling in the background. That's not my sound effects, that's some building work that's going on outside down the road. And the flamethrower tank is simply going to shoot at them without moving. 6 shots from the flamethrower cannon, 3 from the heavy machine gun. They're basically the same profile, so we'll do them all at once. 9 shots hitting on 4s. That's only 1 hit? Okay. But it's a 6, so it can't be modified at least. AP1, so it's going to need to be a 5 to save, which fails. Does it regenerate on a 5+? No, so one of the mutant brutes will die. And the Soul Snatchers rush out of their cover, heading towards the HDF lines. They are fast, so they get a total of 16 inches worth of move when they rush. For the HDF, Master Wylock is going to try and cast Foresight. Ordinarily goes off on a 4+, but he's Psychic 1, so it will be a 3+. That's a pass. And he can choose 2 friendly units within 6 inches to get +1 to their hit rolls next time they fight, or next time they attack. So that's going to be the battle tank and also the conscripts. Wylock and the conscripts have advanced, and they're going to shoot at the neophytes hiding under that bridge. Well, I say hiding, they're under that bridge. This will be 10 shots hitting on 5s because of the spell from Master Wylock, ordinarily hitting on 6s. That's 4 hits. Soul Snatcher Cult's using an underdog bonus to turn one of those 5s into a 4 to make it a miss, so this will be 3 hits. So 3 saves of 5 up needed. That's only 1 pass, 2 of the neophytes will die. By advancing, it's brought the conscripts into range of the neophytes in this tower, but they had to advance because they're heading towards the objective and they needed to get better line of sight on those neophytes. So the neophytes in the tower, one of them died earlier, are going to fire in at the conscripts. 3 rifle shots will hit on 4s. That's 2 hits. 2 saves of 5 up needed. Both fail, so that's 2 of the conscripts dead. 1 shot from the quake cannon will hit on a 4. That's a hit, and it's rending, so that's 6 becomes AP4. It's also blast 3, so 3 saves of 6 needed. There's 2 6s, and you can't modify a 6 because a 6 is always a natural success, so we can't use any underdog bonuses, so only 1 more conscript dies to the quake cannon. The battle tank has advanced, it's fast so it can move 8 inches, and it's going to put all of its fire down into the Soul Snatchers because there's a lot of pressure now heading towards the HDF lines. 2 shots from the battle cannon will hit on 3s courtesy of Master Warlock's spell. Both of those are hits. Would have been nice if I rolled them on where you could see them on the camera, really, wouldn't it? They are blast 3, so that's 6 hits. And even using underdog bonuses, they will still be hits because we can only modify one of them down to a 3, which will still be a hit. This might have been overkill. 6 saves of 6s needed because they're AP2. There's a single 6. Could use an underdog point to turn the 5 into a save as well. But I think that would be a waste because we've still got 6 machine gun shots and a laser cannon coming in. So that will be the Soul Snatchers taken out, significantly easing the pressure on the left flank of the HDF. And all of the rest of the shots from the heavy machine gun and the laser cannon will simply plough into the still twitching corpses of the Soul Snatchers. The Blessed Sons, the unit of acolytes, have rushed forwards, tailing back onto objective 1. They do have Strider, so they can ignore the difficult terrain moving through that crater, and they'll now benefit from cover from being in the crater. Captain Myers and Myers Misfits have advanced. They're going to open fire on the acolytes, but before they do, Captain Myers is going to use the field radio and issue the take aim order through to 311 squad. Actually, they're close enough that they didn't need to use the field radio, but there's a rock in the way, so yeah, they've used the radio. 1 shot from the grenade launcher will hit on a 4 because grenade launchers are blast, so they ignore cover. That's pretty cocked. We'll re-roll it anyway because that's definitely cocked. That's definitely a hit. Blast 3, so 3 4-up saves needed. 5 up saves. 4 up saves because they get +1 because they are resilient. Their experience upgrade. So 4 up saves. 1 save, 2 fail. 4 rifle shots will hit on 5s because of cover. That is 1 hit. We do have a re-roll because they are elites, courtesy of their experience. So I'm going to re-roll one of the misses, which turns into a hit. Although we could now use an underdog bonus to turn that into a miss. That'd just be too cheesy, so I won't do that. 2 saves of 5 up needed. That's 1 pass. No, it's 2 fails. No, it's a pass because they're resilient, so they save on 4s because they get +1 to their defense rolls. So what I am going to do is spend an underdog bonus to turn that 3 into a 4, so they both turn into passes. And then Captain Myers is in range with his pistol. 1 shot will hit on a 4. That's a hit. 4 plus save needed, which fails. The acolytes are now at less than half the starting strength, so they need a morale test on a 4+, which they pass. But with casualties, they're no longer on objective 1. For the Soul Snatchers, the Wolf, the quad bike, has rushed forwards. 311 squad has advanced. They're going to open fire. The autocannon is going to go into the quad bike. Everything else is going to go into the 2 remaining acolytes. They do get +1 to their hit rolls because of the order given by Captain Myers. Demoted him for a second there. 2 autocannon shots will hit on 4s because the quad bike is not in cover. 2 hits. I'm going to use the last underdog bonus to turn one of those hits into a miss though. This will need to be a 6 to save. That's a 2. For some strange obscure reason the quad bike is tough 6, which is twice as tough as the Patriarch, so it's got 5 wounds remaining. I mean, that quad bike is as tough as the grinder truck and as tough as the flamethrower tank. But I didn't write the rules. Right. Switching targets to the acolytes, the grenade launcher is going to fire first. This will hit on a 4 because it ignores cover because it's blast. That's a hit. Turns into, no, it doesn't turn into 3 hits because there's only 2 models left in the target unit. It's blast 3, so it turns into 2 hits because there's 2 models in the target unit. Pretty sure that's right. 2 4-up saves needed, courtesy of their resilient experience upgrade. Both fail. That's the last 2 acolytes taken down. That'll be a kill experience for 3-1-1 squad. The other unit of acolytes has disembarked from the truck. You can only move 6 inches maximum when you disembark from a transport, but that's still enough to get them onto objective 1 in the centre. The last remaining member of Hot Stuff has advanced and is going to fire in at the minion quad bike. 6 shots will hit on 5s. 3 hits. 3 saves of 5+ needed. 1 save, 2 more damage taken will take it down to half health. 3 wounds remaining. So a morale test now needed for the quad bike. 5+, which fails. The quad bike will be pinned, which effectively takes it out of the game for the next turn. The last unit to activate for the Soul Snatcher Cult is the Shadows, who have simply rushed forwards through that building on that platform. No more units to activate for the HDF, so the HDF finished activating first in turn 1. They will get the first activation in turn 2. Let's just have a quick look over the battlefield. So at the end of turn 1, the Soul Snatcher Cult is currently in control of all 3 objectives. They control objective 3 over on the left of the HDF flank. They control the central objective, and they just control objective 2. That mining laser operative just within 3 inches of the objective. However, the Soul Snatchers took very heavy losses. They've already lost 2 units, whereas the HDF have only suffered a couple of casualties from individual units. So the HDF have already achieved their special objective for this game. And as I say, as we go into turn 2, the HDF will get the first activation. At the start of turn 2, is there going to be a random event on a 5+? No. First activation for the HDF. The flamethrower tank is going to reverse because it's currently within charge range of those mutant brutes and the brute champion. So it's reversed out of charge range. The mortar team is also out of charge range already, and the flamethrower tank is now going to shoot in at the mutant brutes with its flamethrower cannon and heavy machine gun. So as per last turn, 9 shots hitting on 4s. That's a bit better than last time. That's 5 hits. AP1, so 5's needed to save. That's 3 saves, 2 fails. Do the 2 fails, regenerate on a 5+. 1 does, so only 1 of the mutant brutes dies. The Shadows, the unit of neophytes up here, have advanced. They're going to split fire. The machine gun is going to go into the last surviving member of Hot Stuff, and the shotguns are going to go into Myers Misfits. We'll start with the shotguns going into Myers Misfits. 8 shots hitting on 4s. That's 3 misses, 5 hits. 6s to save, courtesy of the armor-piercing buckshot from the shotguns. No, so that's 5 members of Myers Misfits cut down. That will just leave Myers himself, although we can re-roll one of them. I think we'll re-roll one because they are elite. Nope, didn't do him any good. Now, Captain Myers is part of the unit, so he should really take a morale test. This will be a 4+, which is a pass. He stands firm. And then 3 machine gun shots into the last surviving member of Hot Stuff, hitting on 4s. All 3 hit. Now, whilst the buckshot in the shotguns is AP1, machine gun rounds are not. So 5 up saves, 3 of them needed. S2, but unfortunately one of them does go through and finishes off Hot Stuff. The snipers have advanced along this rocky bridge and are going to fire down at those neophytes on that objective under that metal bridge. 5 shots hitting on 2s. There's a 1, but 4 go through. 4 saves of 6+ needed because of AP1, 5 up defense. No saves, that's that unit taken down by snipers. The unit of neophytes up in the tower are going to shoot down at the conscripts. 3 rifles hitting on 4+. 2 hits. 5's to save. Nope. 1 shot from the Quake Cannon hitting on a 4. That's a hit. Blast 3, so 3 hits but not rending this time. 5's needed to save though. Nope, 3 more conscripts die. That leaves 2 conscripts and Master Wylock left in the squad. They'll need a morale check. They can use Master Wylock's quality of 4+, which is a fail. They're pinned. Mortar teams are going to open fire on the mutant brutes. Lieutenant Ho telling them to take aim. 3 shots hitting on 4s. 2 hits. Blast 3 each turn into 6 hits. 6 saves of 4+ needed. 3 saves. Do the other 3 regenerate on 5+? All 3 of them regenerate. See, it's not me, it's the dice. Soul Snatcher Cult getting desperate. The rock grinder truck has advanced. It's going to put the mining laser into the battle tank and the heavy machine gun into 311 squad. 3 shots from the heavy machine gun will hit on 4s. That's only 1 hit. 5 up save needed. Fails. Does it regenerate on a 5+ because of the medic? Yes. 1 shot from the mining laser will hit on a 4 going into the tank because it's not more than 50% obscured from the point of view of the grinder truck. Here's a miss. Captain Myers is going to lead by example. He's going to charge the quad bike, and as he's charging in, he's going to yell at 311 squad to take aim. So he's still within 12 inches of 311 squad to pass the order on. I'm not aware of anything that says you can't issue the order if you're in melee, just that you have to do it before you attack. He gets 2 attacks with his energy sword, which will hit on 4s. They both miss. Quad bike gets 2 attacks back, hitting on 6s though because it's already pinned. They both miss, so Captain Myers must pull back an inch. He just needed one of those to go through and do damage, and that would have routed the quad bike. That was the idea, at least. Never mind. However, that probably was a bit foolhardy of Captain Myers because he's now been charged by the other unit of acolytes. 4 attacks from the demo charges will hit on 4s. All 4 hit. Now technically these are blast 3, but there's only 1 model in the target unit, so it's still only 4 hits. 5's needed to save. Saves 3 of them, 1 goes through, he's got 2 wounds left. However, 6 attacks from mutant claws now, hitting on 4s. 3 hits, 6s are nothing special, but these are AP1. So 3 saves of 6s needed. Nope, Captain Myers is cut down. And the enemy consolidate 3 inches. That definitely was a death or glory charge by Captain Myers, and unfortunately it wasn't glory. 311 squad are going to reap some retribution for their fallen officer. The order to take aim still stands, and they're going to fire in at the unit that just cut down their beloved Captain Myers. 3 shots from the autocannon, hitting on 4s. 2 hits. AP2, 6s needed to save. 2 of them are cut down. Grenade launcher, hits on a 4. That's a hit. Blast 3, so 3 hits. 5s needed to save. 1 saves, 2 more cut down. The sergeant is going to use his pistol, try and pick off the last one. Hits on a 4. Misses, but there's still 8 rifle shots going in. 8 shots hitting on 4s. 3 hits. 5s needed to save. Nope, the last remaining acolytes taken down by the rifles. For the Soul Snatcher Cult, the Wolf quad bike is simply going to unpin itself. The battle tank is going to shoot at the grinder truck. 2 shots hitting on 4s from the battle cannon. 1 hits, blast 3, but still only inflicts 1 hit. You know my feelings about blast. As far as I'm concerned, it should be linked to tough, so that should still be 3 hits. I might have to house rule this, but I won't start now because that'll be inconsistent for the campaign. But 1 hit. AP2, 4 needed to save. Nope, so that's 1 damage gone through. The truck is tough 6, the same as the quad bike. 3 wounds left. Laser cannon will hit on a 4 with 1 shot. Misses. 6 machine gun shots. Heavy machine gun shots, hitting on 4s. 3 hits. 4 hits. See, I can count. 4 hits. AP1, 3s to save. 2 fail, so that takes it down to half health. It will need to take a morale test on a 4+. Which fails. It's pinned and effectively out of the next turn. That just leaves the mutant brutes and the brute champion, who are going to rush towards the flamethrower tank. And for the HDF, it just leaves Master Wylock and the conscripts, who will simply unpin themselves. So at the end of turn 2, the Soul Snatchers still managing to keep the pressure up on the HDF. They're pushing forward still on this flank, preventing the HDF from getting onto objective 3, so still held by the Soul Snatcher Cult. In the centre, again, the central objective still held by the Soul Snatcher Cult, and they've inflicted some heavy damage on the centre. Captain Myers and his veterans have been taken down. And then over on the opposite flank, that objective is still technically held by the Soul Snatcher Cult, but their defences on it have been very much taken down. So as we go into turn 3, the Soul Snatcher Cult will get the first activation. Because they finished activating first in this turn. At the start of turn 3, is there going to be a random event on a 5+? No. The first activation goes to the Soul Snatcher Cults, and the Darkling Lord and the Darklings are going to charge the flamethrower tank. And it appears that I took out the mutant brute armed with the pickhammer. Oh well. So we've got the brute champion gets 2 attacks with his sledgehammer. These will hit on 3s. Both hit. 6s are nothing special. They are blast 3, but again it's 1 model, so it's still only 2 hits. AP2, so 4s needed to save. Both fail, so that's 2 damage gone through. It's tough 6, the same as a quad bike. 6 attacks from the mutant brutes armed with heavy picks, hitting on 3s. That's only 2 hits, but one of them is a 6, and these are rending. So the rending hit will need a 6 to save. which fails, so that's 3 damage through, it's down to half health. And then the other non-rending hit is AP1, so this will need a 3 to save, which also fails. So it's got 2 damage left, or 2 wounds left, because it's tough 6, it's taking 4 damage. As with most vehicles, it doesn't have any close combat attacks, it relies on ramming into things to inflict damage, so the flamethrower tank is automatically considered to have failed or lost the combat. So it needs to take a morale check on a 4+. That's a 1, it fails, the tank is routed and destroyed because it's less than half health and it lost the combat and failed the morale check. And the mutant brutes consolidate towards the mortar teams. 311 squad have advanced into that crater to get some cover. They're going to fire the autocannon at the quad bike, and everything else is going to go into that squad of neophytes up in that tower. So the autocannon will hit on 5s, 3 shots, 1 hit. AP2 will need a natural 6 to save. That's a fail, so that's 1 more damage inflicted on the quad bike. It'll need to take a morale test because it's less than half its starting toughness, which it fails, so it's now pinned. Going into the neophytes, the grenade launcher is going to fire. This will hit on a 5 because it ignores cover, being a blast weapon, which misses. Then we've got 8 rifles and 1 pistol. These will all hit on 6s because of cover. 3 hits, 5s needed to save. None of them saved, so that's 3 of the neophytes taken down. They are now at less than half their starting strength, so they need to take a morale check on a 4+, which they fail, so they're also pinned. Now the only unit for the Soul Snatcher Cult that's not pinned or activated is the Seekers up here in the tower. They're going to try and see if they can finish off the conscripts and Master Wylock. 1 shot from the Quake Cannon hitting on a 4+. Is a hit, that's rending, and it's blast 3. There are still 3 models left in the unit, so 3 hits. 6s needed to save. Nope, so that's both the conscripts taken down and 1 hit onto Master Wylock, and then 3 rifles hitting on 4s. Ooh, all 3 hit. No AP on these, so these will be 5s to save. That's 1 save, but 2 go through, so Master Wylock is taken down. The snipers have advanced, heading down the rocky slope towards Objective 2, and they're going to fire up at the Seekers in that tower. So 5 sniper rifle shots mean they shoot on quality 2, but cover makes it 3+, 5 shots. They all hit. AP1, so 6s needed to save. There's 1 6, but there's only 4 models left in the unit, so 4 go through. That is the unit taken down by the snipers. The only remaining Soul Snatcher Cult units are all pinned, so we'll start by unpinning the grinder truck. The battle tank has advanced and it's going to fire at almost point blank range at the grinder truck. Going to put all the guns into it, trying to eliminate these threats off the objective. Start with the laser cannon, because this should do it in 1 shot. Hits on a 4. That's a hit. It's definitely a 5. AP3, so 5 needed to save. That's a 2. Deadly 3, so that is the grinder truck destroyed. Now the quad bike will activate and simply unpin itself. Lieutenant Ho and the mortar teams are going to fire at point blank range in at the oncoming mutant brutes, and at this stage I think that the mortar operatives are basically hoisting the launchers onto their shoulders and using them like bazookas. Anyway, he's telling them to take aim, and that affects him as well because he is part of the unit. So he's going to fire his pistol first, which will hit on a 3, and he misses. Okay, 3 mortars hitting on 4s. 1 hit, which turns into 3 hits courtesy of blast because there's still 4 models left in the target. 4s to save. All 3 fail. Do they regenerate on 5+? 2 of them regenerate, so 1 more of the brutes gets taken down. But now they're at half starting strength, so they need to take a morale test. They're quality 3+. And they pass. And that just leaves the shadows up in that tower, who are simply going to activate and remove their pin. So at the end of turn 3, Objective 3 is still held by the Soul Snatcher Cult, but Objective 1 has now been captured by the HDF. Objective 2 still technically controlled by the Soul Snatcher Cult, but all of the nearby forces have been destroyed, so it should be fairly easy for the snipers to hop down and catch it in the next turn. Speaking of which, the HDF will get the first turn in turn 4 because they finished activating first in turn 3. At the start of turn 4, is there going to be a random event on a 5+? Yes, there is. Number 12. Number 12 is Bring Me Their Heads. Select one random army. Enemy armies get 25 points at the end of the mission for every unit from it that they destroyed. Okay, so odds it will be the Soul Snatcher Cult, evens it will be the HDF. So it's the Soul Snatcher Cult. So they get 25 points. No, the HDF get 25 points at the end of the mission for every unit from the Soul Snatcher Cult that they destroy. So yeah, you select a random army and enemy armies get 25 points at the end of the mission for every unit from that they destroyed. Right. Cool, that took some getting my head around. Now the first activation is going to go to the HDF, and whilst the mortar teams and Lieutenant Ho are a bit out on a limb, the priority has to be securing that central objective. Objective 2 is definitely up for grabs by the snipers, but right now we need to look at securing that objective from the Soul Snatcher Cults, from the quad bike and those neophytes. And to that end, Rage, the battle tank, has parked itself on the objective. Well, it's actually slightly in front of the objective. It's going to fire the laser cannon and the battle cannon into the quad bike and the heavy machine guns into those cultists up in the tower. 2 shots from the battle cannon will hit on 4s. 1 hit. It's going to need a 6 to save at AP2. No, so that's 1 more damage inflicted. Should have done a laser cannon first because that would have done it in 1 shot. If it hits on a 4+, it misses. So as it is, it needs to take another morale check on a 5+, which it fails, so it's pinned again, which means it won't be able to activate and contest the objective. Then we've got 6 heavy machine gun shots going into the cultists in the tower, hitting on 4s. That should have been hitting on 5s because of cover. Unfortunately, I didn't spot that until the end of the turn and I was doing the editing, and it's far too late to do anything about it now. 2 hits, AP1, so 6 is needed to save. Nope, that's those 2 cultists taken down. So that is effectively the site secured. The Soul Snatcher Cults are not going to be able to contest that objective or stop the snipers from getting onto objective 2, but we'll play out the rest of the turn. The Mutant Brutes and the Brute Champion are going to charge into the support team. The mortar teams have consolidated, ready for the return blows, but this team at the back is more than 2 inches away, so won't be able to participate in the combat. Starting things off with the Brute Champion with his sledgehammer. He gets 2 attacks hitting on 3s. That's 2 hits. And these are blast 3. There's more than 3 models in units, that turns into 6 hits. AP2, so natural 6s needed to save. There's 1, but 3 wounds go through. That will take out 1 of the mortar teams and inflict 2 more wounds on 1 of the others. 4 attacks from the Mutant Brutes with their heavy picks. Even though there's not a model within 2 inches of them, all of these attacks are deemed to be simultaneous. 2 hits. AP1, so 6 is needed to save. There's 1 6, so that will finish off that mortar team that's already taken 2 wounds. Fighting back, Lieutenant Ho will get 2 attacks with his energy sword, hitting on 4s. Both hit. AP 1, so 5's needed to save. 1 save. Does the one that didn't save regenerate on a 5+? No, so 1 more of the brutes is taken down. And that last remaining mortar team is more than 2 inches away, so can't partake in the combat, because it couldn't pile in close enough during the pile-in moves. So the mortar squad lost the combat. They need to take a morale test on a 4+ using Lieutenant Ho's quality, which they pass. They stand firm. So the mutant brutes have to pull back an inch. Again, focusing on the primary mission, the snipers have dropped down onto objective 2 to secure it, and can draw a bead on the quad bike, and it's in range. I'm going to give it the benefit of cover though, because there's a lot of stuff in the way, like a crater and the 3-1-1 squad. But 5 sniper shots hitting on 3s. 2 miss. 3 saves of 6 up needed. Nope, the quad bike is taken down at last. No units left to activate for the Soul Snatcher Cults. Lieutenant Ho and the mortar team are going to shoot at the nasty brutes that are next to them, obviously taking game. 1 shot from Lieutenant Ho's pistol will hit on a 3. It hits. 4 needed to save. It fails. Does it regenerate on a 5+? No, so he takes down one of the mutant brutes. 1 mortar shot will hit on a 4, which misses. Technically, doesn't really count at this stage, but the brute champion should take a morale test on a 3+, which it fails, so it's now pinned for good measure. And then lastly, 311 squad are going to put all of their fire down into the mutant brute as well. It will get the benefit of cover because it's tricky lines of sight, but everything is in range and can more or less draw a bead, but not necessarily on more than 50% of the target. 3 autocannon shots hitting on 6s. There's a hit. AP2, 6 needed to save. Nope. Does it regenerate on a 5+? No, so 1 wound taken. It's got 2 left. Grenade launcher will hit on a 5 because it's blast weapon. That's a hit, but only 1 hit. 4+ needed to save, which fails. Does it regenerate? That's cocked, but it looks like it probably wouldn't have done. Nope. 2 wounds taken. It's got 1 wound left. 8 rifle shots hitting on 6s. 4 hits. Forced to save. 2 saved. Do the other 2 regenerate on a 5+? No. So the brute champion is taken down. And that is a tabling for the Soul Snatcher Cult by the HDF. So at the end of turn 4, the HDF have a very convincing victory. They have completely cleansed this site of the Soul Snatcher taint. They hold 2 of the 3 objectives, but yeah, there's nothing to stop them getting onto that objective if we were to play another turn other than distance. Yeah, they've taken this battlefield. They have cleansed the site of the Soul Snatcher Cult. So yes, a win for the HDF. Like you would have seen in the edit, those 2 cultists in the tower probably shouldn't have died, not at that particular point anyway, in which case they might have been able to get down and contest the objective, in which case 311 squad would have simply targeted them instead of the brute. So I'm going to let the result stand. It's a victory for the HDF. And the HDF get 50 points for winning and 2 victory points. The Soul Snatcher Cult get no victory points, but they do get 150 points to add to their reserves. The HDF achieved their special objective for being the first army to kill an enemy unit, and the Soul Snatcher Cult actually achieved their special objective as well, because there were no enemy units in their deployment zone. And then of course we've got the bounties to work out for that random event. The HDF destroyed 10 Soul Snatcher Cult units, and the way I'm reading it is, it's how many units they kill in the battle, not that turn or from the point of that turn. So for example, if the event happened in turn 2, you'd count up how many units were killed after turn 2. But the way I'm reading it is, it's how many units they kill, full stop. So they've killed 10 units, 25 points a unit, that's an extra 250 points going into the HDS reserves. Checking for casualties for the HDF, starting on the top left with 3rd Support Squad, the mortar teams. They recover with no lasting injuries. Flamethrower tank recovers with no lasting injuries. The conscripts recover with no lasting injuries. On to Captain Myers. He recovers with no lasting injuries. Myers Misfits. Oh, they get an experience point for recovering. Hot Stuff, Flamethrower Squad. Recover with no lasting injuries. And finally, Master Wylock down here. Oh, he is wounded. And again, because I've done it with other characters, I'm just going to simply treat him like a normal unit. How many battles is he going to miss? I know that's not what the rules say, but again, just being consistent with how I've misinterpreted the rules throughout the campaign. So he's going to miss 3 games, but there's only 1 game left to play for the HDF, so he's effectively out of the campaign for the duration. Rolling for casualties for the Soul Snatcher Cults, starting off with the Darkling Lord, the Brute Boss. He recovers with no lasting injuries. The Grinder Truck. Oh, is going to miss the next battle. They've only got 1 battle left, so that's effectively that Grinder Truck out for the rest of the campaign. The Wolf Quad recovers with no lasting injuries. Let's face it, it's pretty tough. It's as tough as a Grinder Truck. I need to stop on about that now, I really do. The Darklings, the Mutant Brutes, they recover with no lasting injuries. The Shadows, oh, they're going to miss the next episode as well, and the remainder of the campaign. This unit of Neophytes with the Quake Cannon, the Seekers, they recover with no lasting injuries. These guys with the Mining Laser, they gain an experience point for recovery. The Soul Snatchers recover with no lasting injuries. This unit of Acolytes, the newer one with the Demo Chargers, recover with no lasting injuries. And finally, the Blessed Sons, the original unit of Acolytes with the Cutters, recover with no lasting injuries. Experience for the Soul Snatcher Cult. Starting at the top left, the Darkling Lord gains 1 experience because it destroyed the Flamethrower tank. The Darklings, the Mutant Brutes, also gain 1 XP because they helped, and that puts them on 5 XP. So they become 25 points more expensive and they get an upgrade. 1. They are agile. They get +1 on advance and +2 on Russian charge rolls. Next, the Blessed Initiates. No, these are the Blessed Initiates, the ones in the middle. They get 1 XP for recovering, which means they've also leveled up because they're now on 5 XP, making them 25 points more expensive. And their upgrade will be 4. Resilient, +1 to rolls when blocking hits. Then we've got these guys, the Seekers. They get 2 points for killing a character. They killed Master Wylock, and 1 point for killing a unit. They killed the Sushi, putting them on 3 points. And then finally, the Gifted Sons, these guys, these Acolytes, they get 2 points for killing a character. They killed Captain Myers. The Shadows, the unit of Neophytes that had the shotguns and the machine gun, they also would have got 2 experience points because they killed Myers Misfits and the Flamethrower Squad, but I'm not going to bother with those because they're now effectively out of the campaign for the rest of the campaign. Experience for the HDF, starting in the top left with Rage, the battle tank. So he gets 1 XP for killing the Soul Snatchers, 1 XP for killing the Grinder Truck. Technically, he did not kill the Shadows, the unit of Neophytes, right at the end, so I'm not going to give him an XP for that. But it did survive the battle, so it's now got a total of 4 XP. 311 Squad. It's probably their best game yet. They killed 2 units of Acolytes. They killed the Brute right at the end. and they survived the battle for a change. So they get 5 XP, putting them on a total of 8. So they get an upgrade. 6. Fast learner, may pick any other trait from the list. They're going to be specialists in shooting, I think. So they get +1 to shooting. I think by now they're veterans. So yeah, they're getting better at shooting stuff. And when you get an upgrade like that, the unit becomes worth 25 points more. So that's now a 300 point unit. Third support squad, the Mortars. They killed off the Brutes in conjunction with Lieutenant Ho, and they survived the battle, putting them on 4 XP in total. The Snipers, silent but deadly. They had a bit of a game as well. They killed the Blessed Initiates, a unit of neophytes. They killed the Seekers, another unit of neophytes, and they took out the quad bike in the end. So another 3 XP added to their tally, which puts them on 12. So they're getting another upgrade. 3. They're also specialists. So it's obviously got to be +1 to their shooting. So that means if they're shooting at something in cover, they'll be shooting on quality 2+. And then finally, Myers Misfits, they get 1 XP for recovering from their injury, putting them on a total of 6. New units for the Soul Snatcher Cult. This is Grinder Truck Gamma 5. Looks very suspiciously like Grinder Truck Gamma 4. Grinder Truck Gamma 4 is now going to be out of the campaign for the rest of the campaign. And I have got another one of these with a heavy quake cannon on it, but they can't afford it. Then I looked at the attack vehicles, and the attack vehicles are more expensive than the grinder trucks, so I've simply gone with another grinder truck with a heavy mining laser. And finally, reinforcements for the HDF. They had over 400 points to spend on reinforcements, and straight away I went for the ogres. I've been wanting to put ogres in the army since we began the campaign, and I finally can. I've had these models built and painted for well over a year, and I've never used them. So we've got a combined squad of 6 ogres armed with heavy submachine guns, 350 points worth of walking muscle. And then we've also got 4 support squad, which is a weapons team of 3 heavy machine guns. So that was episode 9 of the campaign, and I'm sure that the HDF fans out there will find that one particularly satisfying. A couple of mistakes, but I think essentially enough for the result to stand. Right now, the HDF are not in last place in terms of campaign points. They've got 5 victory points. The Soul Snatcher Cults have only got 4 at the minute. So the next game will be the Orcs against the Plague Disciples, and after that each army will only have 1 game left to play. So until next time, thank you very much for all your continued support. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing. Please continue to do so, and until next time, God bless.